Okay, today I have for you one of my favorite activities. This can be used for receptive and expressive tasks, and it's a great way to work on a lot of good vocabulary, prepositional phrases, following directions, and asking clarifying questions, clear communication, turn taking. There's a lot of things that can be done with a barrier, one of my favorite tools. So the classic activity that I typically do is I get two sets of items, one on each side of the barrier, and they have all the same items on each side. And either I, or if there's a group of students, one of the students will create a little tableau, either one item at a time or several items at a time, and try to describe the items to the person on the other side. I love using cups, especially clear ones where you can see inside of them, so that you could do something like this and still be able to see what's going on underneath. But really, any kind of cup and any objects will work. I also especially like having multiple objects that differ in some way. So sometimes I'll have a small paper clip and a large paper clip. Here we have two rubber bands that are different colors, two crayons that are different colors. So blocks that are different colors. So things that are the same except for the size or the color are really helpful too for making sure that you're speaking really clearly and giving all the necessary information. So an example of how this might work, I might put out a scene kind of like this. And then I'll ask the student to describe what is on the paper so that the student on the other side of the barrier will have to match it. So you have to be really clear, and you're going to work on a lot of words and vocabulary like corner and center, on top. Describing the direction that things are pointing is really tricky for a lot of kids. So talking about how the point of the crayon is pointing towards the top of the paper, talking about how it's on the right side of the paper, near the middle from top to bottom, or on the edge of the paper, talking about which way the bear is facing. It's pointing to your right. This task also involves a lot of perspective taking because the students are going to have to think about which way the other person is facing. So we want to make them match from each person's perspective. So that's a good thing to think about also. So you could either build a tableau and give directions to the student and they have to try to match it. That's the receptive task. Or they could build their own tableau and try to describe it so that you can build it. So that's the expressive task. You could take turns adding things. So I could have this whole thing set up and then I could add a block and I could say, now you need to put the red block on top of the green block. And then the student could do that on their side and then they could add something. And they could tell you, put the frog right in front of the cup. Have the frog right side up, facing the cup. So the possibilities for this are really endless. Another thing that can be done with the barrier that's really great is to build with these kinds of blocks. Could also be with Legos or really anything that you have. I happen to have these really nice cards that show pictures of simple and really more complex patterns. So asking the student to describe what's on the card one block at a time so that the other person can build it is a really great task. You can also use just drawing. So you could have a plain piece of paper and different colors of crayons or markers, draw different things. That can work on a lot of those same vocabulary. So lots of possibilities with this.